you're about to die again. Not because of dragons or daring sword fights, just the everyday adventure of being a medieval peasant. Maybe it's the mud squishing between your toes. Maybe it's the fleas who treat your legs like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Or maybe it's the village doctor, a cheerful monk who's quite certain that sneezing means a little demon has politely exited your nose. Either way, tonight we're taking a soft stroll through the cabbage-scented, rain-soaked world of days long gone. And let's just say, folks back then didn't tend to see many birthdays. So snuggle in, rest your eyes, and together we'll wander through the oddly charming ways daily life might gently betray you. But before your untimely, and likely hilarious, death, leave a comment below. Which medieval death would take you out first? The plague? A falling roof beam? Goose attack? We're dying to know. Now, dear dreamer, welcome to ancient bedtime history. Take a deep breath, and let's begin your grim little bedtime tale. You wake up in a damp straw bed that smells like a goat's armpit. It's not a mattress. It's a flattened sack of grass, flea-infested and fermenting with every breath you take. There's no pillow. Your head just sinks into the dirt floor because, yes, you sleep on a floor made of actual mud. Not packed clay, not tiles, just wet earth. Sometimes dry, mostly squishy. Sometimes the pigs wander in and share it with you. No one asks the pigs to leave. Your blanket, probably a crusty bit of burlap your great-grandmother once died under. And that draft, whistling through the roof. That's the wind blowing through holes in the thatch above your head. That thatch hasn't been replaced since the last mini-plague. Now, breathe deep. Your lungs fill with the rich bouquet of medieval morning. Wood smoke, manure, something vaguely fungal, and whatever's rotting in the thatch. It's not a refreshing scent. It's the perfume of your people. Proud, peasant-grade stink. You sit up. The fleas rise with you like confetti. You scratch your scalp. Bad idea. That wasn't dandruff. That was something alive. Welcome to your life. Your hut is one room. One smoky, dark, slightly leaning rectangle made of wattle and daub, which is a fancy phrase for sticks and animal poop. No windows, just a hole in the wall that sort of pretends to be a window, but mostly lets in wind, rats, and the neighbors' screaming chickens. Outside, your village is modest. That's a kind word. It's a mud patch with 20 other huts, all built like sad pancakes. There's a communal well in the center. It's brown and suspicious. You call it water. Nature calls it disease in a bucket. The roads aren't roads. They're paths worn down by barefoot children, pigs, and the occasional drunk farmer named Ethelred. He sleeps in the ditch. No one knows where he got wine. No one's asking. You have no money, no savings, no shoes. You own a spoon, a rusty knife, and a long shirt that doubles as your only outfit, your towel, and your burial shroud. This is fine. No one else has shoes either. If someone does, they're either royalty or a witch. You're already kind of dying. You were born into vitamin deficiency and stayed there. You're missing teeth. You've got scabs in places you can't reach. Your hair is 3 separate colors, none of them natural. You're 15 and already considered middle-aged. And now it's time to begin your day. You stretch. Something in your back cracks, not in a satisfying way. That was your spine, permanently shifting due to carrying buckets of well water since age 5. You step outside. The air is crisp. The fog clings to the fields. Your neighbor's pig stares at you with judgment. You stare back. You lose. Children scream. A chicken explodes. Someone slips in pig mud and swears creatively. It's a beautiful, miserable, mud-soaked morning. And you? You are a proud, dirt-covered cog in the medieval machine, ready to survive another day. Good morning, peasant. You've somehow survived another night in your charming little mud hut. The sun is peeking through a hole in the thatch roof, right onto your face. It's a helpful, natural medieval alarm clock, assuming the fleas didn't already wake you up first. You stretch. Your back creaks like a barn door in winter. Your teeth feel like they grew moss overnight, and your stomach makes a noise that sounds suspiciously like protest. It's time for breakfast. Now don't get too excited. In the Middle Ages, breakfast isn't quite the glorious morning feast we know today. There are no eggs Benedict, no golden pancakes, no orange juice in a frosted glass, no toast, unless you count bread that toasted itself by being accidentally stored near the fire for too long. Instead, you're getting a big ladle of something called pottage. Pottage is whatever yesterday was. It's a liquidish, soup-like, maybe stew that's been boiling since Tuesday. Ingredients may include cabbage that's seen better centuries, a slice of onion, half a bean, and water harvested directly from a puddle your cow sneezed into. And the smell, it's earthy, like boiled sadness. Beside the pot, there's a loaf of rye bread. It's as hard as stone and slightly green around the edges. That green, that's mold. It's not fancy aged sourdough. It's just that no one threw it out fast enough. But don't worry, mold is part of the experience. In fact, some historians think eating mouldy bread in the Middle Ages occasionally gave peasants psychedelic visions. So hey, maybe breakfast is magical after all. As you gnaw on your bread brick and sip the vaguely cabbage-flavored water, you hear the family moving about. Your little brother is crying because his wooden spoon has splinters again. Your older sister is swatting a chicken off the hearth. Your grandmother is muttering about the good old days, when turnips were twice as big and once killed a man. In the corner of the hut, your father attempts to look proud, while chewing a piece of bread so dry it echoes when he bites down. And what's for drink, you ask? Well, water is a gamble. In your village, most water is filled with little invisible friends who cause dramatic stomach problems. So instead, you're handed a cup of small ale, a kind of medieval breakfast beer. It's very weak, slightly sour, and tastes like someone whispered the idea of barley into a puddle. Still, it's safer than the well. Now, this meal may seem humble, and it is, but it keeps you going. Sort of. Over time, though, it starts to wear you down. With a diet this basic, you're probably missing key nutrients. Your immune system is running on hope and onions. Your gums are looking a little puffy. You haven't seen fruit since last midsummer, when a merchant passed through and waved an apple at the crowd like royalty. Your neighbor recently lost a toe. No one knows why. It just left. But you push those thoughts aside, mop up the last bit of pottage with a stale crust, and head out into the damp grey morning. Because breakfast may be over, but your next survival challenge is just beginning. And who knows, if you're lucky, tomorrow's pottage might come with a surprise ingredient, like 2 beans. You've come down with something. Your throat's on fire. Your head feels like it's been kicked by a horse twice, and your joints creak like a medieval door hinge. You haven't gone to the bathroom in days, and frankly, everyone around you is too polite or too terrified to bring it up. You think maybe you've got the plague, or scurvy, or possibly bad wind, which was a real diagnosis. Naturally, your family does what any caring, soot-covered, barley soup-slurping medieval household would do. They call the doctor. And by doctor, we mean Geoffrey, a man who once read half a medical scroll before using it as a napkin. He also owns a stick, a knife, and a hat shaped like a mouldy mushroom. Geoffrey arrives, solemn and muddy, wearing a burlap robe with stains of unknown origin. His beard smells like garlic and regret. He examines you closely. Not with a stethoscope, mind you. Those haven't been invented yet. He just squints at your face for a few seconds, rubs your forehead like he's buffing a pewter plate, and then announces with deep confidence, "You have too much blood." Ah, of course. You're sick because you're too healthy. A real medieval mystery. So, Geoffrey does the logical thing. He pulls out a rusty knife and an old bowl that was definitely used for porridge this morning and prepares to fix you. You ask about cleanliness. He says, "Don't worry, I rinsed the bowl in the river last month." Reassuring. He ties a ratty cloth around your arm, slices open a vein, and starts draining your life like you're a poorly maintained wineskin. You feel dizzy, lightheaded, slightly soup-like. He beams with pride. Excellent. The imbalance is correcting itself. You think you're dying. He thinks you're healing. Classic Geoffrey. Still feel awful? No problem. Geoffrey has options. Rub mashed leeks on your feet. Sleep next to a dead badger. Sniff vinegar until you cry. Hold a toad under your armpit and whisper to it. The toad draws out the poison, he says confidently, while the toad visibly questions its life choices. He even brews a healing tea made of crushed beetles, dandelion stems, and whatever that fuzzy thing is growing behind the fireplace. Then he declares, your urine must be tested. This involves you handing over a small clay pot of your bodily regrets, which he swirls like a fine wine. He sniffs it, holds it up to the candlelight, then dips a finger in and tastes it like soup. Too much yellow, he murmurs. Definitely liver wind. He prescribes garlic poultices, burnt owl feathers, and chanting psalms at the moon. You don't ask questions. You don't want the answers. Still unwell. You're referred to the barber surgeon. Yes, the man who trims your bowl cut is also licensed, somehow, to open up your body. The barber cheerfully greets you, sharpening a blade on a rock next to an open flame and something that looks suspiciously like goat bones. He explains, "Today, we'll release the black bile." No further clarification is given. You're strapped to a wooden bench using rope and optimism. He opens a vein with the precision of someone who usually cuts hair and then dabs your bleeding arm with his sleeve. That red and white barber pole outside. It's not festive. It's literally blood and bandages. You're now pale, sweaty, and lightly garnished in herbs. Your mother brings you soup. It's mostly turnip water. Geoffrey returns. He pokes your side, nods solemnly, and places a live lizard on your forehead. For balance, he says. You ask him when you'll feel better. He says, if you survive the night, you're probably fine. Spoiler, you do not survive the night, but you do go out in style, fashionably pale, vaguely herbal, and honored with a funeral where everyone agrees you looked very peaceful, except for the toad. And that, dear listener, was your medical journey. You came in with a sore throat. You left with anemia, a toad friend, and absolutely no idea what actually went wrong. Maybe next time, just eat garlic and hope for the best. You've made it pretty far for a medieval peasant. You've outlived your weird doctor, survived your mouldy bread breakfasts, and avoided angry geese. Life's not exactly great, but it's still life. Then, suddenly, something strange sweeps through your village. It starts with a cough here, a fever there. Old Marjorie won't get out of bed. The baker's nose is bleeding. Your cousin Walter has a big lump under his armpit that's probably whispering dark secrets. No one knows what's happening, but people are dropping like fleas. Speaking of fleas, guess what's coming to town? It's the Black Death, also known as the bubonic plague, also known as the worst surprise ever. It all starts with fleas riding on rats. Rats hitch rides on ships and carts. And those carts roll right into your village like a doom delivery service. Now you've got fleas, rats, and a fast-spreading plague. Congrats! 1 minute you're chasing chickens, and the next you've got giant purple lumps under your arms. They're called buboes. Cute name. Terrifying symptoms. Your skin turns weird colours, you can't stop sweating, and your breath smells like last week's soup. The best part? Nobody knows how it spreads. Some people blame the air and walk around sniffing flowers like medieval aromatherapists. Others say it's caused by witches, evil stars, or maybe that guy down the road with the squinty eyes. Some even blame cats and get rid of them, making room for even more rats. Smart move. Desperate for answers, people turn to doctors. Bad idea. The same guy who bled you last week is now strapping a live pigeon to your chest, or telling you to bathe in vinegar. Or worse, drink 10-year-old pee. Yes, you heard that right. Pee, 10 years old. Why is it still around? Don't ask. Another popular remedy: cut open a chicken and tie it to your body. When the chicken dies, get a new one and try again. You, the chicken and the rat, are now all equally confused. Meanwhile, the death toll rises. Graveyards are full. Towns dig massive pits just to fit all the bodies. Some villages pile the dead in wagons and roll them out into the woods. It's basically zombie-level chaos, minus the zombies. If you're one of the lucky ones who survives, you're now suspicious. People think you used dark magic or kissed a frog the wrong way. They might kick you out anyway, just to be safe. In the end, the plague kills about 1/3 to half of everyone in Europe. That's every other person gone. Your friends, your neighbours, the guy who owed you turnips. Poof. All gone. And how did it happen to you? Maybe you borrowed a blanket, maybe you touched a bread loaf, or maybe you just breathed near the wrong sneeze. But hey, on the bright side, at least you don't have to eat cabbage soup anymore. You've made it pretty far for a medieval peasant. You've outlived the angry goose, survived cabbage water breakfasts, and even dodged your doctor's rusty knife. Life's not exactly great, but hey, you're breathing. That's a win. Then, something feels off. People in your village are acting strange. Old Marjorie hasn't left her bed in 3 days. The baker's lips are purple. The guy who usually yells at clouds is now coughing at them. Your cousin Walter has grown a mysterious lump under his arm the size of a baby turnip, and it smells like sadness. You think, maybe it's just the weather. But nope, it's the Black Death, also called the bubonic plague, also called surprise. You're doomed. Where did it come from? Oh, just a couple of fleas who caught a ride on some rats who hitched a ride on some carts who rolled into your town like a horror movie on wheels. The rats are everywhere now, hiding in the hay, under your dinner table, inside your shoes. And the fleas, they're tiny, hungry, and full of plague juice. Suddenly, people are dropping like sacks of turnips. Their skin turns greyish. Their armpits swell up into giant grape-sized lumps called buboes. Sounds cute. Isn't cute. Nobody understands what's going on. So the villagers do what they do best. Panic. They start blaming stuff. "The wind is cursed," someone says. "No, it's witches," says another. "Obviously it's because Gregory didn't pray hard enough last week." Some people even blame cats and kill them off, thinking they carry evil. Great idea. Now the rat population explodes. Oops. And don't even get started on the doctors. They show up in bird beak masks and coats that smell like a soup made of garlic, flowers, and regret. They recommend sniffing rosemary, rubbing onions on your feet, or bathing in vinegar. Still not cured? Drink 10-year-old pee. That'll do it. Another popular cure. Cut open a chicken and strap it to your buboes. When the chicken dies, replace it. You're now playing hot potato with poultry. Meanwhile, the local barber is still doing double duty as a surgeon. He offers to drain your blood, poke at your buboes, and maybe give you a fresh haircut while you scream. Outside, things are no better. The graveyard's full. The priest is exhausted. Entire families vanish overnight. Bodies are loaded into wooden carts and dumped into mass graves. In some towns, the death toll is so high that priests stop ringing the funeral bells because they'd never stop ringing. And you? You're still holding on. You're pale, dizzy, and smell like pickled socks, but alive, until someone sneezes on you. Game over. Even if you survive, your life isn't safe. People might think you're a witch, or a demon, or worse, someone with immunity. You might get chased out of the village with sticks. At its worst, the Black Death wipes out half of Europe's population. That's every other person gone. Think about it. Half your village, your best friend, your grumpy goat, even the guy who owed you a chicken. And how did it get to you? Maybe you touched someone's spoon, or hugged your aunt, or just happened to be standing there when a flea leapt off a rat and yelled, "Surprise!" You never had a chance. But hey, silver lining, no more cabbage water. Rest in peace, plague warrior. You died fancy and flea-bitten. So, you've made it through another muddy night in your straw-filled hut. You've eaten your half-sour cabbage soup, dodged the barber's bone saw, and avoided stepping on yesterday's onion. Good job. Now it's time to step outside. And as you do, you see them. The real rulers of the village. The animals. You live with them, walk beside them. Sometimes even share your bed with them, whether you like it or not. In medieval times, animals weren't just hanging around the barn. Oh no, they were absolutely everywhere. Let's start with the goat. Yes, that goat. The one you saw standing completely still earlier in the street, staring like it could read your thoughts. Same one. He hasn't blinked in hours. No one knows what that goat is thinking. Some say he's wise. Others say he's planning something. Either way, don't turn your back on him. Just don't. Now let's talk pigs. You might think of pigs as cute little pink creatures that roll in the mud and snort. Not these pigs. These pigs are hairy, cranky, and always seem like they're mad about something. They wander the village like they own it. If you drop a piece of bread, they appear. If you sneeze too loud, they appear. They don't even live in your house, but somehow they're always in your way. There's a story about a boy who tried to ride one of these pigs like a pony. Once, only once. That's all I'll say about that. And then there are the geese. Geese are like little feathered knights. If knights screamed and chased you for walking too close to their favorite puddle, they patrol the village with their heads held high and their wings slightly out, like they're ready to fight. One woman in your village keeps 5 geese. They've chased everyone, including the priest, the baker, and one very unlucky chicken. Geese don't forgive. Now the dogs. You'd think dogs would be your friend, right? Loyal, snuggly. Wrong. These are medieval dogs. They guard things. They steal meat from your plate. They bark at shadows for fun. One of them, Big Sniffer, once ran off with the Lord's glove and buried it behind the outhouse. The Lord wasn't happy. The dog was. Also, medieval dogs are not picky about where they sleep. Your doorway, your straw bed, your lap if you sit too long. One even curled up on top of the blacksmith's anvil. No one knows how. Let's not skip the oxen. Oxen pull carts, plough fields, and occasionally forget how big they are. You could be standing minding your own business, and suddenly, bam, an ox horn in the back. They don't mean to bump into people. They just move like nothing exists unless it's in front of them, which is great unless you happen to be behind them. A man once got stuck under a cart full of beets because the ox forgot to stop. He now refers to it as the day of the root crush. Now chickens are unpredictable. They sleep under tables, lay eggs in your shoe, sneak into the kitchen and knock things off shelves. They're always around, and yet you never see them coming. They also have this habit of staring at you like they know secrets about your past. One chicken followed a woman around for 3 days after she dropped an egg. Just followed her. Everywhere. No one knows why. Let's talk cats. There's always one cat in every medieval home. You don't own the cat. The cat owns the house. She appears when it's warm, sleeps in your chair, glares at your soup, leaves and returns whenever she likes. She has no name, but people call her things like Whisker Widow or Lady Whisper. If you hear something fall in the night, it was her. If you wake up and can't move your arm, it's because she's sleeping on it. Now picture this. You're walking along the same street where old Ada dumped the bathwater yesterday. You've just dodged a goose, said hello to the goat, and now you're trying to pass a donkey. The donkey looks at you. You look at the donkey. You step to the side. The donkey steps to the same side. This continues for 3 full minutes until you both give up. That donkey is now part of your afternoon plans. But for all their chaos, animals in your village are important. You feed them. You depend on them for milk, eggs, wool, and sometimes just for company. You grumble when they steal your dinner, but secretly you'd miss them if they were gone. They might snort, honk, bleat, and steal your boots. But they're part of your world, part of your family. So when you lie down on your itchy straw mat at the end of the day, and you feel something furry curl up near your feet, don't panic. It's probably the goat, still watching, always watching. So, after avoiding sour soup, angry geese, the goat with trust issues, and the village barber who doubles as a dentist with pliers, you might think you're safe now. Ah, friend, not quite, because here comes something even trickier, the law. And in your village, the law is, How do I say this politely? Very creative. Let's say you wake up, stretch your arms, and accidentally yawn during morning prayers. Uh-oh, someone saw that. Old widow Lettice squints at you and mumbles, "Suspicious behavior." Now she's following you. Again, she's not the only one. The entire village is full of people just waiting to accuse someone of something. Why? Because it's entertaining, and it gives everyone something to talk about besides cabbage. Let's take a walk to the village center. You know the spot same street where the pig chased the baker last week. Today, it's quiet, except for a small group of peasants gathered around the official punishment stump. That's right, a very serious tree stump. This is where local justice happens. No judge, no gavel, just 3 sleepy elders, a chicken for emotional support, and a carved wooden spoon that means justice. If someone breaks a rule, they get judged right here. And the rules? Oh, they're wild. Here are some real examples. If your cow gives someone a dirty look during Lent, you must apologize on her behalf. If you're caught stealing garlic, you must give it back, plus a poem about honesty. If your shadow crosses the Lord's porch during a feast, you must stand perfectly still for 1 hour and think about what you've done. One man had to sit on a sack of beans and sing a sad song because he mumbled near the chapel steps. Another was punished for having too many suspicious vegetables. And once, a child was sentenced to gentle disappointment because he made a snow goose with 2 heads. Let's say you're accused of something like baking bread that was too round. That's dangerous. Could mean you're a wizard. The punishment? You must walk around the village square, holding the suspicious loaf and saying, "This bread is not magical, I promise." And you must do it with feeling. Or maybe you're unlucky enough to get the soggy hat punishment. That's when they dunk your cap in cabbage water and make you wear it all day. Not scary, just very smelly. And no one wants to sit near you at dinner. Then there's the classic ducking chair, not too rough, but certainly wet. You sit in the chair and they lower you into the river. Did you gossip? Let's be honest. Medieval life hasn't exactly been a fairy tale so far. You've eaten mouldy stew, gotten chased by angry geese, and watched a pig steal someone's sandal. Now imagine you're about 12 years old. You're outside picking onions and thinking about your favorite stick when suddenly someone announces you're getting married. Wait, what? You're still figuring out how shoes work, and now you're being paired off with a fellow peasant who smells vaguely of cabbage and fear. Welcome to early medieval marriage. Marriage in your village isn't about love, romance, or writing cute poems on parchment. It's about goats and land, and who has the nicest turnip patch. If your family needs help or wants to trade favors, boom, marriage time. If someone owes a debt, boom, marriage time again. Sometimes it feels like someone sneezes, and a wedding just happens. And the wedding itself? It's not exactly a royal ball. It's more like, do you agree? I guess. Great. Somebody bring bread. And if you're really lucky, someone plays the spoons. Soon after, you're expected to start a family. Not later. Not after finding yourself. Now, because peasants are practical, and nothing says grown-up like having a baby while still being scared of geese. Childbirth back then was a team effort. You, your aunt, 3 neighbors, and the village midwife, who's about 107 years old and smells like herbs and victory. The midwife arrives with a bag full of garlic, lavender, and some object you do not want to ask about. It might be a blessed spoon. It might be a cursed spoon. Nobody knows. They believe strange things too. For example, fun fact. Medieval folks believed if you saw a donkey while pregnant, your baby might be born with stubborn thoughts. So people would cover their eyes near donkeys, just in case. And you better not look at anything weird. One old tale says that if you watch a chicken walk backward while expecting, your baby might be born upside down. It doesn't make sense. But then again, neither does putting garlic in your shoes for good luck, which they also did. Back to the birth. You're sitting on a wooden stool with a hole in it, gripping 2 old broomsticks, while your cousin whispers, "You're doing great." And the goat stares silently from the corner again. Oh yes, he's still there. Someone burns rosemary, someone fans you with a sack, someone else faints. It's chaos. Midwives chant things like, "Breathe deep," "Push now," and "Did anyone feed the goose?" And if the baby comes out healthy, everyone cheers. If the baby sneezes, someone immediately declares it a blessing. But here's the hard part. Childbirth was risky. There were no clean tools, no hospitals, no way to treat infections. People tried their best, with herbs, prayers, and lucky socks, but things could go wrong quickly. Some babies didn't make it. Some mothers didn't either. If you're lucky, the baby cries, you cry, and the midwife says, "This one's strong. Got hands like a baker already." And you finally get to rest, wrapped in scratchy blankets, eating a victory turnip, while the baby naps in a cooking pot near the fire. Yes, they really did that. It's the warmest spot in the hut. Oh, and don't get too comfortable, because you're probably expected to have more babies. Like, a lot more. Not for fun. Just because life is rough, and the more kids you have, the better chance one of them will grow up, learn how to milk a cow, and maybe invent socks that don't itch. Your babies will grow up fast. Before they know it, they'll be told to get married, and the whole loop begins again. It's like a family tradition, but with more yelling and goats. Still, people found joy in the chaos. They sang songs, shared strange advice, and passed down funny stories like, "Your uncle was born during a thunderstorm while the cat danced on the windowsill." Or, "Your cousin was born while someone fought a rooster in the next room," and everyone just nodded like that was totally normal. Which, in this village, it kinda was. Chance of survival, 60%. If you're strong, have a great midwife, and manage to dodge the cursed spoon, you've got a decent shot. Just stay away from weird chickens, don't look at donkeys too long, and try not to sneeze during labor. That might confuse people. And now, dear viewer, what about you? Think you'd survive medieval childbirth? Or would you fake a headache and hide in a barrel for 15 years? Drop your fate in the comments below and tell us. Would you marry at 12 if it came with a goat? Yes or absolutely not? Picture this. You've finally settled down after surviving geese, garlic punishments, and giving birth next to a suspicious goat. You think, hey, maybe life is getting easier. And then you hear it. Oi, someone's gone missing again. Ah, yes. Welcome to the mysterious vanishing peasant phase of medieval life. Let's talk about the real dangers no one warns you about. No, not the rats, not the spoiled ale. I'm talking about the forest. Now, if you're thinking of forests like in fairy tales, with friendly birds and talking deer, think again. The medieval forest is basically the village version of "Don't go in there." It's dark, it's full of odd noises, and it has at least 6 people living in it who were exiled for arguing with a priest about soup. But sometimes you have to go in. Maybe to gather firewood, maybe to look for mushrooms. Maybe your goose ran off again and you refuse to lose to that feathered menace one more time. Either way, you take a deep breath and enter the woods. Let me give you a taste of the medieval forest experience. First, you trip over a root. Immediately. Then you realize your lantern doesn't work because lanterns haven't been invented yet. Then you spot something shiny. Could be treasure. Nope, just a rock. A very judgmental rock. Next thing you know, rustling in the bushes. Could be a squirrel. Could be a thief. Could be old Tom pretending to be a tree again. Long story. You keep walking, and then you hear it. A sound so terrifying it chills your bones. A lute. Someone's playing music in the forest. That can only mean one thing. Bandits. Bandits in your world are like the raccoons of people. They sneak into places, steal your bread, and disappear into the night with a laugh and half your cabbage. They're not always scary. Some are just very hungry. Some are kind of friendly. One even apologized once and left a thank you note written in turnip juice. But they're still trouble. If they find you, they might take your shoes, your cloak, or your onion pouch. And trust me, you do not want to lose your onion pouch. That's your whole week's flavor. Sometimes the bandits don't show up, but the forest still feels weird, like it's watching you. You start seeing things. A squirrel with one eye. A tree that looks like your uncle. A weird little shrine made of spoons and moss. At this point, you have 2 choices. Turn around and go home like a sensible person. Keep going because you're stubborn and want firewood, even if it costs your soul. If you choose option 2, well, I hope you like confusing paths and goats that scream from the shadows. Now, back in the village, people have all kinds of explanations for what happens in the forest. Witches live there. Everything is a witch. It's the curse of the pancake monk. Don't ask. People disappear because the trees get bored. There's no proof, of course. But does that stop anyone from believing it? Not even a little. And if someone goes missing for too long? They hold a ceremony, not a sad one. They just put out a plate of cabbage and say, he probably deserved it. Then they argue about who gets his boots. Now let's not forget the village thieves. Yes, some people sneak into neighbors' huts at night and take things. Like socks, firewood bread crusts, the left half of a chicken. Don't ask how. But medieval justice is ready. If someone's caught stealing, the punishment is very serious. They make you wear the slipper of shame. It's one very large wooden shoe that doesn't fit at all. You have to walk around the square in it, while people throw stale herbs and shout things like, "Return the parsnips, Gary." Even the geese judge you. So how do you survive this strange, sneaky world? Easy. Don't trust a squirrel wearing jewelry. Never chase a goose into the woods. And if someone offers you free soup near a spoon shrine, walk away. Chance of survival. 50%. Let's be honest, you're brave, but the forest is confusing. The bandits are hungry, and the turnips are never where you left them. If you've got good boots, a loud yell, and a goat who follows you for mysterious reasons, you've got a decent shot. Otherwise, keep one onion in your sock for emergencies, just in case. Now it's your turn, brave villager. Would you risk the woods to fetch firewood, or trade your goat and spend the rest of your life near the soup pot? Tell us in the comments. Into the woods, or back to bed. Let's see who'd survive. Or at least come back with their socks. You've lived a long, muddy life. Okay, maybe not long by modern standards. You probably made it to 35, maybe 40, if the goat liked you and the roof didn't fall in. But in your village, that's legendary. People start calling you old so-and-so. You get to sit on the dry stool by the fire. You're even allowed to say things like, "Back in my day, bread had more worms and we liked it." It's a quiet honor. You've survived childhood, the sour stew years. You've raised kids, dodged geese, and avoided most duck-related legal troubles. You've lived the full peasant experience. And now, one slow, ordinary day, you feel tired, not just from work, from life. Your bones ache like old church bells. Your hands are calloused from chores. And when you lie down to rest, something inside says, "Okay, that's enough." And just like that, you're done. Now don't worry, this isn't scary. Because in your world, death is just another thing that happens. No one gasps, no dramatic music, just a neighbor who notices you didn't come for soup and quietly says, "Oh, they've gone." Then someone wraps you in your best tunic, yes, the one without the hole, and lays you in a wooden box. Not a fancy one. Probably the same one they used for old Tom and the goat. Then they bury you in the quiet patch near the cabbage field. No gravestone, just a wooden marker, a little bundle of herbs, and maybe your favorite spoon, if someone remembered. That's all. Your village doesn't throw grand funerals. They remember you in small ways. She always shared stew when she had extra. He could sleep through thunderstorms and baby geese. They once tried to build a ladder out of turnips. And then, just like life, you become a story. Maybe you're remembered as the one who laughed at lightning, or the soup whisperer, or that guy who fought the goose and lost, but made it look noble. Kids start telling tales about you. They say you haunt the well, or the forest, or the biscuit shelf. Someone swears they heard your name whispered by the wind, and everyone pretends not to believe it. But secretly, they kinda hope it's true. And now, just for fun, let's review. All the ways you probably could have died as a medieval peasant. Tripping over your own goat during a sneeze. Being lightly crushed by turnips during harvest season. Laughing too hard at the Lord's new haircut. Walking into the forest for just 5 minutes and never returning. Being exiled for making suspiciously fluffy bread. Trying to carry a sheep and a cabbage at the same time. Getting caught up in a feud between two rival ducks. Or just forgetting to duck when the roof collapsed. Again. Let's be honest. If you survived until 35, you're not just a peasant. You're a wizard. But even without magic, you lived a good life. You carried water. You loved your strange little family. You helped birth babies, chase pigs, and comfort neighbors who'd been pecked too many times. You weren't a lord or a scholar or a poet. You were you. And that was enough. You were the heartbeat of the village, the one who chopped the wood, baked the bread, shared the stories. You mattered. You didn't need to be remembered in history books. You were remembered at the fire. That's real legacy. Let's pause. Take a moment for you. The listener, the sleeper, the imaginary peasant who survived 10 whole segments of medieval absurdity. Breathe. Think about your little wooden bed, the soft crackle of a nearby fire, your favorite cat curled on your feet, the wind outside, gentle against the thatched roof. Everything's done. You've chopped your last log. You've argued with your last goose. You've eaten your final, very dry biscuit. You lived. You worked. You suffered. And you died. Just like everyone else in the village. Sleep well. You've earned it. Probably. Thanks for spending this strange, muddy, goose-filled hour with us. We hope you laughed. Maybe even learned something. Or just drifted off imagining what life might have felt like centuries ago. Dirty feet, sore back, proud heart and all. If you enjoyed this story, we'd love to have you back. Subscribe, follow, share with someone who loves weird history and even weirder bedtime stories. And tell us in the comments, what would your medieval peasant legend be? Would you be the soup thief? The chicken prophet? The one who invented mittens for goats? Let us know. And until next time, stay warm, stay curious, and stay away from suspicious ducks. And don't trust the goat.